Hello, I am Connor Nielsen
And I am Spencer Nielsen.
of CS Reviews, and you know what I really love? A good movie. All right, Spencer. Today we saw the release of this week we saw the release of two new films. One is Chappie, and the other is Unfinished Business. Neither of which anyone saw, and neither of which were any good. Shocker. Spencer, how was your week?
It's been an interesting week. Where it's week 10 out of 11 for the winter term, so it's really getting to the nitty gritty. I'm exhausted today, and yeah, it's pretty good. How was your week? You've had an eventful week. Tell us about you.
Yeah. First off, it is our 10th video, so 10th video doing this, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's
Pretty fun. So this week has been very eventful for me. Who Reviews the Reviewers Season 4 Round 2 video I put in my video. It was a review of Birdman, so if you want to know what I thought of Birdman, go check it out. It's on my personal channel, just Connor Nielsen, or you can just go to geekvolution.com and find it through there. Not .com, just go to Geekvolution's channel, find it through there. But yeah, I put that in. It was a lot of hard work. We did the whole gimmick where it was in one take, and I just reviewed it because it won Best Picture. I kind of wanted Boyhood to win Best Picture because, you know, it was the best movie of last year, and I wanted to.
Whiplash was.
Boyhood was the best movie of last year, and then I wanted to review that. I wanted to do a review over the course of 12 days. I thought that would be a fun gimmick, but no, I reviewed Birdman in one take.
And you were doing things and stuff as well while I was walking backwards around our house, tripping over stairs and messing up takes like that.
But yeah, overall, I thought it turned out very, very nicely. I'm very proud of it. Yeah. So, and on top of all of that, my 5K walk and run for autism research and resources of Oregon was uh, held on over the weekend, and that was a big, very happy the way that turned out. We ended up raising over $1,200 for autism, and that was really cool. I'm really proud of everyone who showed up and who came out and showed their support. And yeah, it's all been a lot of big events happening. It's all just kind of been building up for a while, and then now, boom! It's all happening. It's all happened now, and now this is more of like a period of relaxing, just doing all the paperwork and doing all the last presentations, if you will. So yeah, that's just kind of what's been happening with me and my life, and that's significantly more interesting than the movies we saw. Ain't that right, Spencer?
Yeah, ain't that the truth, man? This is a really stinker year for, a really stinker week for the movies, and the audiences seem to agree. This is the poorest performing week so far this year.
Really?
Yeah, the number one only made what, 13 million?
Let me check that really fast.
I think I don't. I'm gonna guess 13.3 if I remember correctly.
All right. Say something while I look.
Okay. Well, so yeah, please check out and support Connors on Who Reviews the Reviewers and all the other great contestants. They're really putting in a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of fun just to be kind of part of the community of it. And so that's our little plug for Geekvolution and to support Connor. But yeah, it's been a good week. Currently have the at my college. I'm part of the jazz band, so this weekend it's gonna be hard for us to watch movies. Our next episode might be a little bit late because I'm going to need to be at my school from like 7:30 in the morning till midnight for 2 days in a row because our college is hosting a high school and middle school jazz competition, which I will need to be at and therefore can't watch movies. So I think we might do something Thursday night, but please don't be surprised if our next episode is delayed just a little bit.
All right, yeah. And you were right. Chappie came in at number one with $13.3 million.
Yeah, that's what we like to see.
Dun, 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 dun. So, all right, without any further delay, Spencer, tell us about Chappie.
All right. Chappie is the next is the latest film by Neill Blomkamp, the director of District 9 and Elysium, but he was District 9 was an Academy Award nominated film, so and then this depicts Dev Patel, who's some robotics engineer who is reaping the benefits of his huge success with these police drones. Similar, it very feels very RoboCop inspired, and what he wants to do is give these drones he wants to work on creating an artificial intelligence that is real. It's artificial life, pretty much.
It's a complete artificial intelligence.
Yeah, complete. Like it's a fully functioning being, just in robot form. Unfortunately for him, he gets hijacked by Ninja and Yolandi, two gangsters that are played by Ninja and Yolandi. They play themselves. And then the Chappie is then growing up in the hood of South Africa, learning to do things and stuff that gangsters do. Connor, what did you think of Chappie?
Oh, and you forgot to mention that there's Hugh Jackman in there.
Oh yeah, Hugh Jackman is Steve Lombard from Superman, but with a gun.
Spencer, I just wanted to make a quick thing. Your microphone is hitting up against your collar, and it's making a bit of fuzz.
Oh, thank you for telling me that.
So, Chappie, I don't like this movie. I really didn't like this movie. And it's quite a bit of a shame, because when this movie was starting, I actually kind of was liking it. It was kind of like the news footage stuff, and I was like, okay, I know it's all exposition, but I mean, it's effective. It's kind of drawing me in. I'm intrigued by this. The opening action sequence I thought was really good, really well done. I didn't see District 9. I saw Elysium, and I thought that the action sequences here were better than, the first opening action scene was really better than anything I saw in Elysium. So I was kind of, okay, this is cool. And then, immediately after that first action scene, it just really went downhill. And I think in large part is due to this movie is basically 2 hours of wasted potential.
Yeah, that is the best way to describe it. It's a real shame.
That's as best as I can really put it. And the worst part is when you get to the end of this movie, you realize what this movie could have been.
I know, especially with the it takes a pretty almost bizarre turn. It's hard to I don't know a writer to compare to, but it feels almost like some classic sci-fi, almost like Asimov or something, sort of little cerebral out there concepts, but it just feels like it's taking a backseat to this lesser movie, and it's kind of hard to watch in that way. It's really hard to watch.
Well, okay, so basically what this movie did was it was too plot heavy. And for a sci-fi film, and the reason I really like sci-fi, first off, is you can pose these questions and you can ask these big questions and have these larger-than-life ideas and present them in a way that is so unique that people don't really question it because it's sci-fi, it's the venue. And by the time this movie wraps up, you realize the big ideas that this movie had, the big questions it was asking, and then you realize those should have been the centerpiece of this movie, not this this plot that got increasingly convoluted, not these unlikable characters, and what you should have done is make the ideas the central component. You make you cut out half of the characters in this movie. You make Dev Patel and Hugh Jackman ideological opposites when it comes to these ideas. Maybe they have some stuff in common, but when it comes to these ideas, they're they have opposites in this ideology. And
almost like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X in a sort of way.
Exactly. And then what you do is you make the ideas drive the characters, and the plot is driven by the character's decision. based off of these ideas. So the ideas are front and center. That's why Interstellar works so well, because the plot does sort of get a little like convoluted and like, oh my gosh, but all that worked because the ideas and characters were first and foremost in that film. Here, the plot is too convoluted. Just dial back all the plot. All these characters are different subplots, and they just choke each other out. So cut that down. None of the characters are likable in this movie. Not even Dev Patel, because he's just the obligatory, scientist, this ambitious scientist who has no faults. It's pretty much like if Richard Hammond in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, of course.
It's like the thing what made that character so good is he was naive. He had this child's heart, but at the same time he was. And people said, you have this child's heart, but what you're doing, you have to have an adult's brain to really like handle this, and you don't, and your naivete kind of brought a disaster upon a lot of people, and he has to come to terms with that. And then in this movie, Dev Patel, he's right. He's the creator. He has no faults. He's right. Everything he does is good. Hugh Jackman is a great actor stuck with nothing. His character is terrible. He has no personality, and like that he's just one note. I'm a bad guy. And there's one scene in this movie where you really realize he's the bad guy, which is just so cartoon character. Like, I turned to you and I went, did that just happen? Like, really? That bugged me.
We both turned. It's like we were sitting because we both turned to each other with this look of, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. And then going back to the one positive of this movie, the performance from Charlton Copley as Chappie is good. The performance, because the character sucks. I'm going to get into that later. And then we get Yolandi and Ninja and America. They're the three gangstas that raised Chappie. They're annoying. And that's what's really irritating about this movie is it's very subjective as to what is annoying. But you even asked me afterwards, you said, was this movie, like, did you not like this movie so much because it was really that bad, or because it was that annoying? And I think they kind of like coexist at this point, because these characters, they're not characters. They're just the obligatory mean guy, big, mean, tough thug guy who needs to go pull this job so that they can, not be in debt. And then there's the ditzy, oh, it's just a child thing, and they're together because plot, and then they're raising Chappie, and then Dev Patel will show up occasionally, but there's no like fleshing out of these characters as to why they are the way they are. Why does Ninja feel like he have to act like this? Why does he think this is cool? Do he have to like prove it to himself? Does he have to prove himself to other thugs in order to make himself feel fulfilled? What? Like, give me something. Give me some sort of personality. Give me some sort of like desire, motivation for these characters other than money.
Yeah. Oh, can I talk now? Cool. So, yeah, that was quite a rant you went on there. Because when I was coming out of this movie, something that I actually haven't thought about since the theater-going experience was there was movies like Do the Right Thing, which you're watching it, and it's infuriating to watch, but for all the right reasons. And I was watching this, and I went, why am I bothered but not enjoying this? And Do the Right Thing, I don't want to go into spoilers, but like towards the end, there's some very racial tension going on, and it risks painting either whites or blacks as bad. And the whole message behind that was that everyone's screwed up. And I think a lot of people say, oh, it makes black people look bad, but it's also directed by Spike Lee. He wasn't afraid to show that either side is wrong. I really appreciated that. And I was wondering, why do I not like this? Because I feel that same kind of bothered, irritating, I don't want to watch this. Just, you idiots, just talk. But then I realized this movie has nothing to say other than what's on its camera. It's funny because Ninja and Yolandi, they're part of a South African, I believe they're South African rap rave group called Die Antwoord. And then they have this buddy named America. And then I went, oh, that's kind of obvious. But then I noticed, then there's like all this kind of spray painted stuff in the background that it pretty much is like, oh, America's dead or Liberty's dying. It's, you know, kind of like 70s, 80s punk rock kind of stuff. And then,
hold on, it said that. I thought it was just a bunch of penises spray painted everywhere.
well, something like F da Man or something. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But then there's a part where Yolandi, where she's dressed in the American flag, and they're raising Chappie to be a #1 robot gangsta, and it's like, oh gee, this the subtext of this movie is so, I guess it's a symbolism, subtext of some kind, is hitting you over the head so hard that it carries no weight. So we're supposed to, first off, we're like, Ninja and Yolandi are two of the most annoying things ever, because their logic is so fractured. They say, hey, we need all this, we need $20 million to pay back an even bigger cartoon character than us who survives shootouts shirtless because, you know, he has antagonist powers. But the thing is, like, they say, oh, we need to turn off the drones. And for like the 20 minutes straight, she's like, we need to find the remotes. They have remotes.
On off switch.
They need an off switch. TV, that is a robot. The drones, they're robots. They have off switch because TV have off switch. Robot have off switch. So then they find out Dev Patel somehow is the creator, and they kidnap him. They're like, turn off the drones. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. And they just smack him. Yes, they do. And then he's like, no, seriously, look, they don't have. He tries to explain why. They're like, you liar, dude. Then after like the 5th time, they finally say, okay, there's no off switch. And I'm like, it's so frustrating to watch because he's not giving any sort of indication that he's lying. He's like, oh crap, I don't want to die. Yeah, look, I'll comply. And they're still just being total jerks, and there's nothing compelling about either character because, I mean, we're not invested enough to Dev Patel because he's just cookie cutter creator, and oh my gosh, just looking at these characters is enough to can you talk?
Yes, I will. I wanted to get onto what you were saying about America. So the character America, that's not his real name, that's his nickname, because his real name is Yankee. Symbolism. So what I was trying to get at was like, so these people represent the American culture, or they represent the American underclass, and this is like, and then the people that, like, Dev Patel's company with all them, with Hugh Jackman and Sigourney Weaver, who just decided she wanted, you know, have some nice lunches, I guess. They all just wanted to, like, get together. That company and everything, they represent the corporate America, but they represent, you know, kind of lower class, like class struggles. You know, it's a Neill Blomkamp movie, of course. There's that. Then I thought, well, why don't you just set it in America then? I mean, it's like, it takes place in Johannesburg, and okay, that's cool. I mean, but at the same time, I'm like thinking, just set it in America, because at the same time, like that whole commentary you're trying to do is sort of broken at that point, I feel. So if you're trying to, like, incorporate American business and the class struggle with, like, American lower class, then, like, come on, give me something.
No, sorry. I know it's some kind of, it's the power. It's very reminiscent of the Karl Marx kind of classism with the it's like called self-destruction capitalism, where the rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer, and there's going to be a lot more poor people, and they're going to overthrow the upper class because they're going to get smart, because there's going to be more of them than there are of the others. And so so they're trying to paint that, but it's so obvious, and how, but also how the poor are going to, like, are it's something kind of cynical with the whole upbringing of a child, because they bash you over the head. Yes, Chappie's a kid. Yes, Chappie's a kid. Yes, Chappie's a kid. Yes, Chappie's a kid. Chappie's a kid. They're corrupting a young kid. They're manipulating him into solving crime, into committing crimes, and it's at a point it becomes obnoxious. Like, you're not respecting the audience enough to say, okay, oh, it's a kid. This is kind of representing of kind of the culture of the generation that's growing up right now, and it just feels like almost like guilt porn. It's like, hey, feel guilty about what we're doing. Feel guilty about what we're doing. Feel guilty. Feel guilty. Feel guilty. And we're sitting there, and it's annoying and it's obnoxious, and those don't go well together at all.
And you're thinking, how do I feel guilty? I don't know what you're trying to say. That kind of leads me into my next beef with this movie, and that has to deal with the Chappie of Chappie. So I kind of liked the idea of, okay, there's this robot, and then he was a bullet magnet, and then they kind of repair him. Okay, now send him back into the field, and then he gets hit with a rocket, and then his battery's fused with the other smorgasbord, and then he only has so much time to live. He has mortality now, but then he gets AI, and then now he's like this conscious being, and now you kind of see like the life of like a robot, and that's really cool. And then him being a child growing up, it gets really annoying because there's a reason kids are annoying in movies, but at the same time, first off, I have to give this movie some kind of credit. I'm not going to dock it a point because it didn't do a stupid handshake joke. Let's shake hands. You didn't do that, thank God. Otherwise, I would have docked this movie another point. It would have just added to my annoyance factor.
Sorry, it jumped to me when you were giving your example. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you said it was the handshakes.
I see.
Okay, yeah. So with something that there's that scene that I feel could have worked, but they didn't, was when Ninja decides to throw Chappie out into the real world and find his way home.
This is what I wanted to talk about. Yeah,
because I think in there, like, I actually like the character of Chappie until the end, and then it all kind of comes full circle with Chappie is a character that is impossible to not like because we have already associated him as a kid. He is a blank slate. Anything that happens to him makes him a victim, and he is not responsible for any sort of actions. And then all you can really say that's good about the character up until he can think for himself is that, oh, well, he's likable. And at that point, it's hard to watch because there's sort of this like breaking of innocence, and that this is where I felt where it was trying to be like do the right thing, where it's showing you just this sort of injustice, and you're getting irritated watching it, but at the same time it fails because you as an audience member are being manipulated.
Exactly. And that scene where Ninja throws him out and there's just some thugs and they just start beating him up because script said so. It's not like they're saying, okay, there's a robot, it doesn't want to attack us. What is it? They're not curious. They just go, hit it! Hitting, and he goes, oh no, stop hurting me! And then they're hitting him, and we're supposed to go, look at him. Just look at the injustice of this. Look at the child getting hurt, and it's a child in danger. You have left us no other way to feel other than bad, and that is the easiest. We can't think of any other way to contrive drama, and it's screenwriting 101. You don't put a child in danger, and there's an idea here where the child's indestructible basically, and you can just repair it and everything, but at the same time it's just this person who's helpless getting beaten up and hurt. That's all it really ends up being. And Then it comes out, and then he, whimpers away, and he's like, oh, poor Chappie, oh. And then Hugh Jackman shows up and just beats him up some more. I'm like, you know what, movie? Screw you. You're just putting him in a series of dangerous positions just to make me, just to say, feel bad for this character, sympathy, and you're doing it in the most contrived, easy way possible.
Right. This movie also has very obvious jabs at Christianity and like almost how America worships guns. The part where Hugh Jackman, he throughout the movie he goes like, and he does that before he picks up a gun at one point. He does it before he operates this death machine. And he's like, and then there's also this thing where Dev Patel's a creator and he wants to do this, but and he's this blameless person that's robbed of his creation, and then these crooks manipulate his pure creation, and it's like, okay, that's great, and then it paints like Dev Patel as this weak thing, and it's like it doesn't know if it's trying to attack faith or like make it feel as though it's helpless or something. Either way, it victimizes the faithful or the faith itself. And that, I have to say, is a lot like my problem with the whole symbolism of America, as you said, where are the band of crooks a microcosm for America, or is the society a microcosm of America?
Yeah. I want to move on to the ending of this movie because the climax is pretty much the most contrived thing ever.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the biggest cartoon character who speaks in so much cartoon language, such cartoon English that you need to have subtitles to read what he's saying. And then, so he wants to go get Ninja and Yolandi. He wants more than his $20 million now because remember, he's a bigger cartoon character. And then you have Ninja and Yolandi.
He just randomly, I want that robot.
Yeah.
Why?
And then you have the stupid crooks raising Chappie with Chappie, and then Dev Patel shows up, and they all converge, and then it's, oh my gosh, Hugh Jackman's Ed 209 robot is on its way. It's like, and basically what makes it all the more frustrating is the movie is just a series of misunderstandings between characters. Just sit down and talk with each other, darn it.
And I think movies like, and then it tries like, also there's a movie like Crash where I think it does that well, where it does, sort of contrived situations, but it's trying to make a statement. This one is just trying to get the obvious messages across, and it just fails.
Yeah. This is all I really have to say about Chappie. Anything else you want to
add? Well, I just have to say that at the end, just quick spoiler alert, is that, if anyone's going to see this movie if they haven't already, but at the end, it's Chappie's, what I like about what I thought was actually kind of brilliant in conception is that it validates that Chappie is a being because he creates an invention to save people. It shows that a consciousness can be taken from a body and transmitted into something else. Like, oh, this is actually quite good, but it's just a way of saying, oh no, now Ninja and Yolandi are dead or dying. Let's just move their consciousness into robots.
And why I'm supposed to feel sympathetic for them at the end, I have no idea why.
They've done nothing but be awful and make Chappie and manipulate Chappie into being awful. So it's satisfying when we see them get filled full of slugs, and I shouldn't feel that way towards these people that I'm supposed to care about for some reason.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right. I'm giving Chappie a 3 out of 10.
As am I. Chappie gets a 3 out of 10.
All right. Let's move into a movie that even less people cared to watch. Unfinished Business. Spencer, take it away.
All right. Unfinished Business. It's a comedy starring Vince Vaughn. Oh, and Dave Franco and Tom Wilkinson are in there. So, Unfinished Business is about Vince Vaughn, who quits his job under the rule of Sienna Miller to make his own business. A year later, they're going to get their first big deal, but they have to travel all the way to Germany, all the way to Portland, Maine, and then all the way to Germany to seal the deal so he can get his blessed handshake and make money. Unfortunately for him, though, he has competition with, you guessed it, Sienna Miller. Connor, what did you think of Vince Vaughn's contract number 32?
All right. Unfinished Business is a movie that I think I laughed all of 0 times. And I'm not trying to be condescending at this, but at the same time, it's hard not to be when this movie is about as cynical as it gets. It's really just, it's a checklist. It's like they got their Lifetime original movie, family comedy mixed with their raunchy road trip comedy checklists mixed up.
I know, it's like you could almost see behind the scenes. Oh, man, who? Okay, well, who cares?
Right. And like so.
Connor, purge your feelings. Just let it out. Shout, shout, let it all out. All right, go on.
So this movie is not funny, and it's really not funny in the most passive of ways, because it's like it really wants to have a dramatic narrative with comedy elements, but there's like some sort of corporate mandate on oh, it's Vince Vaughn, we wanted a comedy, and then they wanted their own corporate mandate of like this generic, the dad's working away, but he needs to deal with his family issues kind of thing. And then the comedy is thrown in there like, oh, well, Vince Vaughn has to wear ladies' running clothes. I guess he has to clear his mind. It's like that whole joke was set up so poorly. Then we have stuff where it's like the first off, this movie's so bad it makes me feel like the word handshake had never been invented, because they say this thing like maybe like 75 times in the whole movie. Like, it was like, stop saying that, please. Dave Franco, it's just like, well, here's him being awkward. I guess he's not all there. Isn't that funny? He's talking like this the whole time. And then Tom Wilkinson, well, he's old doing young people things. That's funny, right? It's cynical, and it's like just paint by numbers and very boring. Just do something.
In my sociology class, every Monday, it's like there's a few minutes where I'm sitting at a table before class begins, and I was like, hey, how was you guys' weekend? And I went, well, yeah, crappy movies came out this week. And I just explained them Unfinished Business, and they said the best way to describe this movie is, in one scene, Dave Franco you visually see Dave Franco slip and fall on a guy's exposed penis, and then like the next scene, you have Vince Vaughn telling his son to stand up to bullying, stay strong. It's a movie that it so doesn't care, because it knows they don't care who sees this movie, so they're just going to assume like everyone's going to see this movie and like it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like a generic dad's away trying to make homework, oh shucks, shenanigans ensue kind of family comedy, but with F-bombs and boobs and drugs and penises just everywhere littered in the movie. It's like, it's not funny. The movie doesn't make me care enough to really hate it. It's like, you want my rating? I'll give my rating right now. It gets a out of 10. Take that for what you will. The movie, I think I hate this movie from a movie making standpoint more than anything. So yeah, that's Unfinished Business. Anything you want to say?
I just have to say, why are these people in this movie? Uh, James Marsden, man, that guy, he needs a hit. I mean, he was in The Loft, and
Oh
now
my gosh,
this.
poor guy.
I mean, yikes, dude. And then you got the Shaft when you were Cyclops. Uh, so he's in this movie, and he's just this jerk who's the jerk solely to be the jerk, just so he can get his comeuppance in the end. And then you have Tom Wilkinson. Why are you in this movie, dude? Why? Are you trying to be funny for your your teenage grandchildren? And 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 then there's Nick Frost. Poor Nick Frost. Oh my goodness. He's embarrassing himself being in this. Nick Frost is a genuinely funny guy, and I think he was a person that inspired the most laughs. But because he had nothing to do, just I laughed more at his presence and his timing than what he's actually saying or doing. And sorry, just to clarify, the extent of me laughing this movie was take that for what
Mild
you will.
amusement.
Yeah, very very mild amusement. And his joke is he has a big penis, and he's Nick Frost. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Or look at Vince Vaughn has to stay in a living art museum, and people know that he's an exhibit. That's funny, right? And the framing device for the narrative for him to have an over like a voiceover where it's like I have to help with my kid's homework. Okay, now we have a framing device. We don't do anything with it. It's just so we can get some sort of insight into stuff we already know. This
And,
movie
and
frustrates me.
and another thing that really doesn't work for this movie is like Vince Vaughn, like his character has no filter in a way that is completely, and I get he's supposed to be unorthodox, but it is so unprofessional and mean-spirited. Then again, I'm looking too far into this, but he's like swearing and dropping F-bombs and S-bombs and just swearing around his daughter and son and wife and the person he's trying to get a job from, and it makes no sense. Does he not have a mind? He's just being Vince Vaughn because Vince Vaughn does Vince Vaughn things. Another thing I want to ask, and I asked you about this, how old is his son in this movie?
I know. I was just
Because
about that.
he's old enough to have like a Facebook, and well, I don't know how old people get Facebooks now, but he's old enough to have a Facebook, and he looks pretty tall and big. He looks pretty developed even, and oh, so he's in high school, and then the jokes are like typical, like kind of high schoolish insults, I guess.
Middle school, high school.
Yeah, middle, like lower classmen. It was mainly like online instead of just obligatory in face. Hey, you're overweight. And it's not like that. It's more like kind of cruel, passive aggressive kind of insults. Meaning that it's online, not face to face. And then then his daughter's obviously maybe 6, 7 years old, 8 at the most. Like she looks elementary school girl. And then you have the son is like, oh, and then he asks, hey son, how many people are in your class? 42. Huh? Wait, no, class? I mean, class is, because, obviously middle school and high school, they have multiple classes, but class, wait. And then later it's revealed that his daughter's beating up people that pick on her brother. Who would know that she has an older brother? Wait a second. Is the brother supposed to be in elementary school? Because if so, I'm not buying that one bit.
You're right. And I don't think like they're like we got to send him to private school. Everyone's picking on him, and it's so much that he has a class of 42 people. Okay, so when his graduating class was 42 people, and you want to send him to private school, it's not going to be any better. It's not going to be any smaller. I mean, whatever. I'm done with this movie. Anything else you want to wrap up?
Uh, Not really. No one's gonna see it. It sucks. It's dumb. It's not funny. It's a comedy that's not funny. Take that for what you will.
I
Uh,
will ask you this: better or worse than Mordecai?
I honestly have to say it's worse just by virtue of no care going into this movie whatsoever. At the very least, I felt like the filmmaker had some kind of angle with Mordecai, even if that movie was more annoying.
Well, I think I actually don't like Mordecai more, simply because it annoyed me to no end. I was like pretty much like up to here with Mordecai 5 seconds into it. With this movie, it was so it was so unfunny in the most boring of ways. So yeah, that's unfinished business.
Yeah. What would you
And
give it, Connor?
I give it a bleh out of 10. What would you give it, Spencer?
I was thinking I'd give it a who cares out of 10. But honestly, I don't know, I'd give it like a 2.
Okay. Anyways, that's all that we got to talk about tonight. Next week, we are going to be talking about Kenneth Branagh's live-action adaptation of Cinderella, which has been doing very well critically. I'm excited to check that out. And we also get another Liam Neeson action movie called Run All Night, also starring Ed Harris and Common. And I hope it's better than Taken 3. I really hope it has to be better than Taken 3.
Or at least we can like see it, hopefully.
Right. So those are the two movies that are coming out next week, and we will be with you maybe a little bit later next week. Spencer, are you excited for either of these movies?
I'm excited for Cinderella. I mean, when I first saw the trailer, it's just gonna be the cartoon feature, which I want to see before that because I actually have not seen the Disney animated film for Cinderella. At least not since I was 3, maybe. And I don't remember it in the slightest. But I'm excited to see it, especially with like the good reviews. It looks beautiful. Like when I saw the trailer, I went, this looks kind of CGI heavy and whimsy. But then I'm like, oh, Kenneth Branagh, he has a certain style to the way he films it, and I'm sure at the very least it'll look beautiful. Especially with the casting of Cinderella. I mean.
Also, yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what Helena Bonham Carter. She looks like she's going to be a lot of fun as the fairy godmother.
Oh yeah, that's her. I didn't recognize her. She doesn't look depressed.
Yeah, so and Run All Night, whatever. It could be okay. Could be great, could be bad, could be okay. I have really no expectation for that movie.
Same here.
Anyway, so yeah, that's all we have for today. See you next week, and until next time, I'm Connor Nielsen.
And I'm Spencer Nielsen, signing off.